Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. This is going to be another storytime video, just like our last one on overcoming obstacles. This story happened after our first win, which we told you about in that video, so if you didn't check it out, now's your chance. We'll link it somewhere, either in the description or in the cards. Now, we told you guys how our first trade show was really successful, but, it wasn't always smooth sailing, obviously. And so we'll get into one of our specific challenges that we faced when we opened up our first store. So in our teens, we used Jay's credit card to fund our business. As we told you guys before, we maxed out about $2,000 buying products, and we started off really good. We had a 12K weekend at our first trade show. That was about 10K profit. And it was a really amazing and reassuring experience. It gave us a lot of confidence as young business owners. And so we just went on from there.
So we ended up attending more trade shows since we were doing really well. And as time passed, people started becoming fans of our products and fans of our business. And they asked if we had a physical store that they could shop at on a regular basis.
Because we told you guys on our first trade show was very successful. The second one and the third one after that, people started copying us. So it wasn't until we started really innovating our products that we became a very lucrative at our trade shows. Like our booths would be the busiest ones.
Yeah, and a reason for that is because we started designing our own stuff. So that was why they couldn't jump in and copy those products. And yeah, so we were really inspired by everyone's feedback and by everyone's interest, and we seriously decided opening a store. And guys, this is well before the world of e-commerce emerged, right? Nowadays, if someone likes your stuff, they'll ask you do you have an online store? They won't ask you about a physical business because it just wasn't that accessible to teenagers and people in their early 20s back in the day. If you didn't have a designer or a programmer to set up an expensive website for you, you couldn't really get online like that, that we knew. So that's why we just took the physical store route.
We have a horror story to tell when it comes to website creation, because that's one that you want to stick around for.
Definitely. Yeah. Our first website was a disaster that set us back 2 years, so you might want to tune into that. But yeah, we ended up finding a really great store location, and it was a few cities away. It was an incredibly small storefront. If three people were inside at once, it was literally crowded. It was a hole in the wall. People would laugh when we'd tell them no, three people is a crowded store for us. But you know what? The rent was the cheapest we could find at the time, so that's what did make it worth it. I think it was around $400 a month. And that doesn't sound like too much right now, but back in the day, remember inflation and everything. So 400 back then is probably double that now, right? It was expensive, but it was the best we could find, and we decided that it doesn't hurt to try. We've got all this interest, we can probably make this into something.
During that time, we were both still in school. I would go after classes several times per week. Jay would be there on weekends, and so we would try to garner as many sales as we can, given that short amount of time. It was hard. It was a part-time thing for us at the time. This needs to be mentioned. It's not too, our mom was very supportive of us, for the most part. But we do have to mention that there were times where, when she didn't really see anything really going on with the business, especially with the store, she would make little discouraging and disparaging remarks here and there. And when you don't really have too much support, it was really only us.
Yeah.
And our mom. So it's when you don't really, that it gets to you.
It does.
And it can feel really discouraging. So with that too, coupled with the fact that the store was pretty slow to start. Literally, we said it was a hole in the wall, and it was not in the most crowded or highly trafficked area as well. So getting sales sometimes could be a real struggle.
Yeah, even getting people into the store could be a struggle.
We opened up a store in a city, a few cities away from where we lived initially, and that city was the city that we ended up actually moving to. But even before then, when we just had our store there, we would have people come into the store, and at that time the city was very, we'll say that it wasn't diverse at all. The city was very homogenous. So when people would come in, sometimes, not everybody, and this wasn't most people either. So we'll say that for sure. But there were people who would come inside of the store, they would see us, and they would glare. They would look so upset and angry, and they would literally just turn around and leave.
Yeah.
And we've had that happen. Like, that would happen at least once a week. There were other people who were a little bit more subtle about it. Their kids would be really excited about the store, and then they would go into the store with them, and then they would see us at the till, and they would be like, I'll be outside. And then, their kids would soon, and like would leave soon afterwards, because the kids don't have any money, right? So they can't, even if they found something that they liked, they wouldn't be able to buy it. So yeah, we had a lot of interesting moments in that store.
Definitely. That's to say the least. And actually, it was sometime after this that a family friend ended up targeting our mom. That's what we mentioned in our last video, too. It was during this time that a family friend targeted our mom and committed financial fraud in her name against the government, the banks. It was a big thing. It got her in so much legal trouble, as I'm sure you can imagine. She immediately lost her business, which was the main source of income for our family. Because remember, this was just a little side hustle thing. And we were also dealing with the possibility of losing our home, which we did. But at the time, we were just dealing with that possibility and the possibility of our mom going to jail for crimes she didn't even commit. So, yeah, she worked so hard as a single mom to succeed in life, and it was all being.
And so suddenly everything was basically flipped around. Like, if you've heard of those kids who had to grow up really quickly, that was us. We became the breadwinners of the family. We were responsible for paying the mortgage and most every other bill in the house. And if the store it wasn't storing like that at first. So we had many slow days, and it was a struggle, to be honest, to meet our expenses every month. Our saving grace was trade shows.
For sure.
Yeah, they were the ones keeping us afloat for the longest time.
And guys, on the days that our store was slow, we started doing something very spiritual to bring money into our lives. We didn't even realize it at the time, but just looking back, it's like that was spiritual. So basically, at the end of each day, if we made no sales, we'd reach into our own pockets and put money in the till. I'd put $1 sometimes. Sometimes T would put $1. Sometimes we'd put a toonie if we had one. We're Canadian. So a toonie's $2, whatever. Yeah, like whatever we had on us, we would make sure to put it in the till. Even if you have to buy something, we'd grab a drink off the shelf, $2, That way, in our minds, there was no such thing as a no sales day. That's what we were conditioning our minds for. We didn't even realize it at the time. We weren't very knowledgeable, like I said, about spirituality, but we still believe that like money has an energy. And if you tap into it, and even by just giving to yourself money, sure enough, more of that energy is going to come to you. That's going to create more money flowing to you, more sales. So our 3D world was showing us no sales, but we literally just ignored it. We ignored our circumstances, and we mentally lived in a version of reality where our shop was successful.
Like, and it was delusional. It seems delusional to some people. I'm sure it does, but it worked. Like, after a while, we started getting regular customers coming in who supported us for years. Even into our new location, when we moved over into a bigger location, because that the little hole in the wall, when that became it, we outgrew that store basically. We were able to make rent, we were able to pay our bills, we made enough to eventually move to a larger space downtown. It used to be that, like, with that little store, we would usually pay mortgage late. We would usually tell the banks that, hey, at least a few months out of the year, we would be paying mortgage late, and then we'd wait to go to trade shows to be able to pay that mortgage. We didn't have to do that anymore. Eventually, we had outgrew the space. We moved to a new space, and that was no longer a problem to us. It was our mom that pointed out, hey, like, did you guys notice that we don't have to call the bank anymore? And when you're in it, sometimes you don't even realize how far you've come.
That's so true.
So yeah, there's that.
So that's one of the first hurdles in our business, and we overcame it by acting as if Do you guys know that manifestation technique? Where you act as if we acted as if our lives were different, and we rejected the 3D reality that we didn't like in favor of one that we did, which was one where we were successful.
So in business, if you want to succeed, it helps if you have a strong, in fact, it's necessary for you to have a strong why. And you'll hear a lot of entrepreneurs say the same thing. And it's because it's true. Our why for becoming entrepreneurs initially was that it was just a fun project for us. It was like just a passion project, really. But it shifted to becoming a necessity for our family survival. We would be out of house, literally out of house and home if our business failed. So that was an option, obviously.
Thank you.
Now we just want to thrive, though. We're more focused on living a softer and more carefree life and teaching others how to see success and achievements in their own lives.
We hope this story time was inspiring to you. It's great when entrepreneurs share their wins, but we want to also share this with you to give you an idea of where we're coming from, how it wasn't always easy and smooth sailing like people try to, and some people, they're not even lying. Some people literally just get smooth sailing throughout their entrepreneur careers. Like we've seen people who they started a business, 10 months later they're a millionaire. Like that's amazing, but that's not everyone's reality. So, just because you do have like some rough times here and there, it doesn't mean you should give up. I don't know many people who have had more rough times than us.
Yeah.
More ups and downs.
I think it'll be hard pressed to find.
Thank you. The difference, though, with us is that we have never given up. We've had a strong why. We have a desire for the future. We know what we want. And I think that's what helps people to succeed. If you feel inspired, please like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone you think needs to hear it, you think needs to be inspired. Remember, if you don't like your circumstances, then ignore them. Ignore them and change your mind, and your reality will follow.
By the way, guys, okay, we're back again. But if you guys like these kinds of videos, it's really encouraging to, like, we heard back from some of our viewers in the last video, and that was really encouraging for us to come and make this video. So if you guys do like these, like, story time types of videos, yeah, keep engaging with it and, help us really spread our experiences and these inspirational stories out in the algorithm, because you know how YouTube be by like either sharing or commenting. Anything really helps. Any kind of engagement.
It's tough as a small channel.
Yeah.
YouTube does not want to show you to even your own subscribers too. So make sure if you are subscribed, turn on notifications, and yeah, we will see you guys in the next one for sure.